What up? It's your girl Super here with my Thornton Township recap. Thought I'd do a recorded video this time. Um, so what's up to all of my viewers, everyone that views me, all of my mods, thank you. For all the replay people that will be replaying this video, thank you for tuning into this channel. Please like, share, subscribe. Um and donate if you wish to this channel. Um, well, it is now 2:21 a.m. and I am recording my recap of the meeting that was on Tuesday night at the township. I cannot access my video. I don't know if you all can access my video. I can only access about 5 minutes of my video. For some reason, it's not uploading. I can see 55 minutes. And let me show you. I can see that it says 55 minutes on the screen right there where it says 55 minutes. However, when I click into it, it only says 5 minutes. So we're going to do a recap without the benefit of any type of footage, which we really don't need because they really didn't talk or do anything at this point in the video. So you see the backdrop says board no longer because it seems that one person is making all decisions and directing what everyone should do, say, react, act, and all of those things. So there are just a few things that I wanted to talk about. I'm going to bring up the agenda for tonight so that you all can see what was at least on the agenda. Excuse the appearance of the agenda because it is not on the website. So I had to scan in the copy that I picked up. So this was the agenda for tonight. Specifically and mostly was all about the insurance and this insurance company. If you want to know more about this insurance company, you can head over to my channel and go to this video. I believe it is the video. It is in the video. It's way back on my channel, like almost to the beginning. And it is the video that talks about Kasparic and Jerry Genoa. So it's at the very beginning of my channel, and you can view that. And I'll tell you about Audit. Audit is an insurance company. What I know that Frank Zuccarelli never intended to be in the township. Michael Madigan's son, and I believe his name is Alex, works at this particular insurance company that was raided by the FBI a few years ago. And so, do with that what you will, but you can look it up. You can look up the insurance company. And it's right there on the screen. It's Alliance. And it was told, and I'm going to show you agendas, the previous agendas, where they had to accept this insurance because at that time Tiffany was not insurable in the township, and so they had to get this insurance company because it is the only insurance company that would extend them insurance. Okay, from what I know, you're going to see some never before seen footage on this public platform that is in my private community tonight. And we're just going to watch a small clip of it, of this footage. But as we are looking at the agenda from tonight, under new business, items A through E are all about the insurance coverages. And from what we were told tonight, I'm sure maybe you have watched a recap from Ryan. I heard that Stephanie was on there. I did not watch it. Um, but we were told tonight that professional services at the township don't have to go out for bid. So lawyer services, the in this case, insurance services, maybe possibly the CPA services, whatever they deem professional services, does not have to go out for a bid, is what we were told this evening. Um, there's a conference coming up in February that they voted to attend. They also voted to put the bills back on recurring payments. The reason they had taken them off recurring payments is, well, actually, Tiffany took them off recurring payments. In my opinion, and this is my opinion only, that so that she could control where money went. If you had to move money around, sort of like a household budget, right? So if you have to move money around your household budget, you're gonna rob Peter to pay Paul. That's what we're talking about. So they had taken them off recurring payments she had because of that. And so because they voted to only have one meeting a month at the township, um, in order to pay bills on time, they would have to put things like the phone bill, the light bill, the gas bill, if they have gas, water bill, all of those things would have to be put on recurring monthly payments, so that they could get paid on time. And any other subscriptions that they had, i.e., um, internet services or internet protection, those types of things would have to go on recurring payments because they only have one meeting a month. Bills are probably typically due at the beginning of the month, and they don't have meetings until the end of the month. So that would be the reason. And then they had the approval for the upcoming events, a Black History Program, Senior Services, Valentine's Day Dance, Women's History Program. They did not have executive session tonight because Napoleon stated that they didn't have anything to go into closed session for. And so they didn't do that. But they did make some appointments. Now, I don't know how many appointments that the supervisor actually has because, excuse me, when Tiffany was in office, she didn't make as many appointments as we have seen made. There was an appointment made tonight for an intergovernmental liaison, whatever that is supposed to do. I would imagine it's in the same vein of the lobbyist, scarabus, and the other professional services that they were getting. What the township would need an intergovernmental liaison for. The reason was not given. Also, a job description was not given. But the appointment was given to Kevin Daly, who also sits on the South Suburban board. He's a trustee, I believe, and also a member of DOTS. The appointment of the assessor clerk, Shamika Woodbury, I don't know anything about her at this moment. But I will, see what I can find out about that person. I would imagine that that's probably somebody that is in DOTS, and it's probably somebody that lives in Harvey, if I had to guess. And that would be just a guess at this point because I haven't looked up anything. And then you had the supervisor gave all of the presentations for the department heads, and he also went over his supervisor report, again thanking the staff. While there is staff that is on payroll that does not live in the township, and I do believe there is an ordinance that speaks to that because I have Tamika Hughes's employee file, and in her employee file, I'll show you in another live that ordinance, because she was given a reprimand and told that she had to move into the boundaries of the township in order to keep her job. So I will show you those things. I do have that, but there are still people employed in the township that do not live in the township. And I'm gonna say this again: Tamika Hughes, what is the person who holds the notary license, and she did notarize a paper that involved the Dixmoor mayor, and he stated that he never seen the paper and he never signed it. There's a matter of that has still not been cleared up from when Tiffany was in office. And so nobody seemed to be alarmed that that person is still working, and that the Dixmoor mayor said that they never signed that paper. So who signed the paper? And Tamika Hughes was the notary. And if the Dixmoor mayor didn't sign it, then who was present to give their ID that the notary should have checked and logged into their logbook for signing said paper? There's a matter of those things that still has not been addressed. And so those are the things that were on the agenda. Oh, there was also a promotion. Did I see? Yeah, a promotion. Sean Johnson from IT manager to IT director. I don't have a problem with any of that. However, there is still a matter of the website that if you do not have a VPN, you cannot access the website. That is still an issue. It still goes on my phone. Matter of fact, I can show you. Let me see if I can show you on my phone where that is still happening. I actually get a suspicious I can't see it. Let's see. I get a suspicious website notification that I have to bypass with my VPN to allow me to access the website. So if that person was the IT manager and is the IT manager, and is now promoted to director, I have a few questions. Why is it that when you email people, like if I email somebody, I'm not being responded to because they're not getting my emails? I.e., I've emailed Robert Hunt and have not been responded to. I mean, if it's selected response, then that's fine. But I would say they're not receiving my emails if I'm having trouble accessing the website. And why are certain people having problems accessing the website? It's been a question and it still has not been addressed. And so, and has anything been done about the data breach that occurred during Tiffany's time and during Napoleon Harris' time that the public was not told about? Was there a data breach? We did see some insurance put on one of the agendas for cyber protection. So, was there a data breach? That still hasn't been addressed in any type of fashion, even from Tiffany's time, when I know that there was a data breach and the website was actually hijacked. And so I'm just trying to, see if those things have been addressed under this new IT person. And like I said, why are the agendas not being posted? They're being posted on the door. They're being sent to a, one preferential publication, but they're not being put on the website for the public to be able to access. You have to physically drive but you're promoting someone to IT director, and agendas are still not being put on the website. So, those are all questions for me. So then let's move into this, because on this agenda as well, I believe it was back at the top, or I believe it's not on this agenda. Ryan made the comment about this tax refund. And, and had questions about, under Tiffany, they didn't want to do it, but now it can be done. So I wanted to show you all the particular meeting where Tiffany asked for this 100% tax refund for the homeowners of Thornton Township. So if you go on the website, and this is on the website because this was before Loretta left, the agenda is January 14th, 2025, right? And Tiffany has on old business, right at number 1, approval of supervisors 100% property tax refund for all homeowners, right? And then if you go to the January 28th meeting, the minutes, it is on this agenda here. Once you get past this, right, the first one under old business, it says Supervisor Henry entertained a motion to approve 100% property tax refund for all homeowners in Thornton Township. The motion was made by Trustee Gray Everett and seconded by Supervisor Henry. There being no questions or comments, Supervisor Henry asked Clerk Wells to call the roll. On the roll call, the vote was 2 yes, Trustee Gray Everett and Supervisor Henry, and 3 no. Trustee Gonzalez, Carlisle, and Wiedemann. And so the motion failed for this, for the 100% property tax. I also want to note that this is the same meeting, January the 28th meeting. If you scroll down the minutes of this meeting, they struck down the employee bonuses. There's a matter of the forensic audit that is on here. Supervisor Henry entertained a motion to approve forensic audit proposal submitted by E. Bailey. The motion was made by Trustee Wiedemann and seconded by Gray Everett. There being no questions or comments, Supervisor Henry asked Clerk Wells to call the roll. So on the roll call, the vote was 1 for Supervisor Henry and 4 for no. Okay, so that particular one got struck down. They also struck down the credit cards. Tiffany wanted the IT department and the senior services to have their own credit card, and they voted no to that. Then you had the budget appropriations. They voted no and to all of those things at that particular time. Then there is this matter that still has not been addressed. Trustee Carlisle entered a motion to approve item 7 on the agenda, discussion and possible action to retain an independent investigator to investigate the township's outreach department, to include investigations related to the outreach department's funding, expenditures, contracts, independent contractors, contracts for other goods, services, staff, employees, and management of the outreach department and its finances. The motion was made by Trustee Carlisle, seconded by Trustee Gonzalez. Supervisor Henry asked Clerk Wells to call the roll. On the roll call, the vote was 3 yes, Trustees Gonzalez, Carlisle, and Wiedemann, and 2 no. So the motion carried. So there's a matter of this particular audit that's still of the outreach department that still hasn't been done. We still don't know who's in that department. I think that they put Emmanuel over this department, which is the man who what is doing the media. Also, him and his wife do the media for the township, and they don't live in the township, but they do the media. So that item was never sent out for a bid, or has not been addressed about the audit, which was passed, as you can see on this agenda, on January the 28th, 2025. There's also, this is the second one. Supervisor Henry entertained a motion to approve item 8, discussion and possible action to retain an independent investigator and or forensic auditor to audit and investigate the use of certain grant money and possible township funds for the township at-risk use program. It was voted yes, 3 in the affirmative, to hire this independent investigator, yet that has not been addressed yet still either. And they say these things cost money, yet you set aside $2 million for a tax refund for the residents that may equate to $50 or so. At this point, I'm going to show you this never been seen footage on at least on the public platform on this channel. So we are going to watch a portion of this video. In this video, I'm going to set this video. In this video, Trustee Gonzalez, I asked him a question about Darlene when she started, just voting with Tiffany blindly and stuff. And I also asked him about this tax refund and why they voted no. And this was his response.
Might have seen in the meetings, there's times where she wants to have a conversation, right in the middle of the meeting, and I have to say, Darlene, if you want to talk about something, let's talk.
Have a discussion, right?
Yeah, or even if she has, like I said, a question, about something, like I said, just we could talk, one-on-one even, or whatever. If you could tell me whatever concerns you may have, I could tell you whatever concerns I may have, but it always seems just right in the middle of the meeting. Why are you voting like that? And, so sometimes I'll just say, Darlene, look at this. It's, this is not right. There's not enough information here. And then, so she's usually just kind of like, well,
you heard, Trustee Gonzalez said that they didn't vote for Tiffany's, refund because she didn't give them enough information. And I think that's a plausible or a reasonable request to have information. But now that Napoleon is doing it, did they receive information? Because that information had not been passed on to the public. Whatever the information might have been, the how, the when, the why, of the tax refund and how much. Have they received that information? Did they get that information? That's information that, as you can see, Trustee Gonzalez said they were not getting for Tiffany. Did they get it from Napoleon? And if so, when? And if so, why is it not being passed on to the public? How the program will work, or even how much the residents will receive from this refund. If it's $50, $2 million to give everybody $50, I'm not sure that's a good use of $2 million. What will be the criteria? Why wasn't that released? Or at least passed out to the public? These are all questions that, I have. Uh, and if they are receiving, information um, in text messages or group chats, because that's the only thing that we can assume, because we're not getting any information, or the public is not getting any information. So, you know, these are, some of the questions. I still feel like they want to reprimand you for asking questions, or having the audacity to even have a thought about what is happening. Um, what do we expect from our elected officials? What should we expect from them? Should we expect for them to respond to our questions? Just because you're elected, does that mean that now I cannot ask you anything? Or does that mean that you will not provide the public with information since you was elected to the seat? So now it doesn't matter what the public has to say or questions they might have. I feel like these are all of the attitudes that are being given. And if you ask any questions, then uh, you you're being ostracized for it. You're being made to feel less than for asking a question. Um, so, I don't know how much longer this is going to continue to go on, where the public is treated like they're just there to observe the meeting and not particularly be a part of the meeting. A lot of the people that were fighting and had a lot of comments when Tiffany was sitting in the seat no longer attend meetings. They no longer have those comments or those questions. They no longer care about the township because they are not attending meetings. So what was all the fanfare around Tiffany? Was it just because it was Tiffany that Tiffany was doing it? That's what it's seeming like now. Because when somebody else is in the seat and they're doing it, it seems to be fine. And that is what the optics of it looks like. And I'm going to say this again. Nobody wants to have the chaos that came with Tiffany. No arguing, no fighting. Nobody wants that. What the public does want is a proper intellectual discussion about things that are going on in the government. This is a democratic government. This is not a dictatorship. This is not that. But it seems to be, because you have one person in a position, not necessarily of power, because if the board members decide to vote another way, if there's enough of them to decide to vote another way, then whatever that item is that person wants does not happen. Um, and so why is it now it's okay? It is okay for that. And there's no discussion. There is no talking. Oh, I don't think we should do this. Or no, I don't agree with that. Even if you vote no and the other people vote yes, at least, vote what you feel instead of voting what you're told. Um, that's not something that, I respect. I don't vote for people who just do what they're told, because that's not the democratic process. That's not what this country was built on. It definitely was built on the backs of a lot of people that fought for the right to ask questions, that fought for the right to have their opinions heard. But I digress again. Um, they have these meetings once a month, and as far as I'm concerned, the picture, the background there, that we might as well sit in the room, read the agenda ourselves in silence, and leave, because most of these agenda items already voted on or already talked to these meetings. So there really is no need for the public to come. And I think that is the point. I think that is the point, that they don't want the public to come. They don't want the public to get involved. They don't want the public to ask questions, because they want you to do as they say and not as they do. And I think that's a real shame, to fight 4 years to get someone that you told the public was a dictator and was spending all the money, and was not being transparent and telling you all what was going on, to get them out of office, only to put the same attitude back into the office, but just in a quieter way. And that's a shame. That's a shame that people would want a seat and a title more than they will want to serve the public and make sure that their neighbors are served, because they're in a position to do so. That is the real shame of what is going on here. To fight and to make all that noise, and to do all of these things, only to bow down in another situation. But because you have your seat, that's all that matters. Well, thank you guys for listening. That's my recap of the township meeting. Next recap you'll see from me is a recap of the Harvey meeting coming up. All right. Thank you guys.